you transform so many quantities of your natural resources or your financial capital within a year, then your growth rate only reflects the speed at which you are growing. And so time, it's not just people, businessmen saying time is money, but time is a function of the rate of growth of a nation. And every 1 minute, every 5 minutes, every 30 minutes that we are not putting to productive use in this country or anywhere else is money that is lost. So that's something I really need to preach and continue preaching to our African and especially Ghanaian brothers and sisters, that we really have to pay attention to our time. If we are going to compete with the rest of the world, the early bird catches the world may be a phrase in the English language, but it's also a reality. In terms of who gets up early, even Jesus, God says, those who get up early and reach me are those that I listen to. So whether it's in the world of God or it's in the world of man, we got to move faster than we seem to be doing. The objective of this conference really is to afford an opportunity and a platform for the public sector and the private sector to plan jointly, not separately. The state has various planning institutions which generally meet among themselves at the public sector and undertake various plans, including a National Development Planning Commission. And of course, you have the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, for the economic side of the planning process. But planning is a wide subject, and strategic planning also is an important element in the work of the private sector. Private companies also sit in their various boardrooms and at senior management level and undertake their own plans. Very rarely do 2 or 3 private companies, because of competitor considerations, sit together and plan together. Even at industry level, whether it's in the mining sector, in the telecom sector, or in the oil and gas sector, you find that companies do not generally like to plan together because they think they are sharing confidential information. And yet, we believe that the countries that have done the best and have grown the fastest, especially in the Far East, Southeast Asia, are countries where the public sector and the private sector have found common ground for planning assiduously on a continual basis to know, as in this case, the outlook. Who can see far, see where interest rates are going to be, where exchange rates are going to be, where government policies are going to be in the next year or 2 for the different sectors you are interested in. So that when you are doing your own corporate strategic planning, it takes advantage of the most robust and the most accurate forecasts that will make sure that your business plans are also on target. But this is the collaboration that is not really taking place in many African countries. Because like my sister here, I also happen to be an alumnus of the African Development Bank, and I'm spending a lot of time these days in Tunis, Tunisia, with the private sector operations department of the bank, trying to assist in many ways to harmonize and to promote the interests of the private sector throughout the whole African continent. And these are just observations that I'm making, partly from my previous life in the public sector, my experience in the financial sector, in the financial organizations, and now also in a small business. So even those of us in Africa Business Media, a very small company, to set an example of what can be done to attract foreign investment and to enter into joint ventures and partnerships to promote growth in a particular sector, the sector of the mass media, which reports on other media or other sectors. We are pleased today, in the course of today, we'll have a signing ceremony here of a partnership that is about to blossom between Business Day Nigeria, which is the leading business publication in Nigeria, and Africa Business Media, as an example of what all of us can do in our own respective ways. So may I on this occasion just call on the Business Day Nigeria executives who are here to rise for acknowledgement. Business Day Nigeria. Thank you very much. I only just came to welcome you, so I'm not here to make a speech. The speeches are going to be made by more distinguished and more knowledgeable people on the panel. We're going to have a lot of discussions afterwards. So let me thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to welcome you, and let's look forward to a very productive and fulfilling day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ecconomic Gabra. He's been a Minister of Education, a Minister of Communication, and a Minister of Mines and Energy. And so he really is in one of the best places to come from one side of the divide, which is the government, into the other side, having known what the issues and problems are. We move on very quickly, but some of the things that are being said, it's important that we make note of them, because we have understood that when we hear foreign direct investment, a lot of the countries that Honorable Ecconomic was referring to, we had more countries from another side of the world that people are really having to take note of. And we all know about the big three, the G3s, we all know about the First World, and we're all very happy to have members and representatives from there. And then we talk about the BRIC countries, and we spoke about them, and they're Brazil and Russia and India and China and South Africa. And I was very happy to have Madame Irene, the Honorable Ambassador for Brazil, and you are seated within us and we're cushioning you here, but sometime in June it may be a little more fiery when we all come to your country, and so you're very welcome. And we have other members of the diplomatic corps. Is it possible for us to have representatives just to raise your hands? It's very good to have you here. And for gender balance, very happy to find more female ambassadors and heads of missions than we have males. That's exciting. And then we added on to China the BRICS, and that's when South Africa came in. And that was very exciting for us here in Africa to find that these are countries to be mentioned. And very recently we all heard about the new rising set of countries, and those are the MINTs. And that was exciting to find Mexico as part of it, Indonesia, and Nigeria, and Turkey. So it's a good thing to have us all here. And a little joke I know about Business Day, that's the business side of their publication, and the main side of their publication is This Day. And as you know, there are a lot of issues happening in the north and south of Nigeria, but especially in the north. And you've got to be very careful about what you say. Do you agree with me? In the north of Nigeria. And Honorable Spiogabra was talking about God and all the things that happened there. And so we all know the Lord's Prayer, and they were in the north, and they were trying to say the Lord's Prayer, and we all know, and thank you very much, and forgive us, and give us. And then we all know there are many publications in Nigeria, and there is the Punch newspaper, perhaps, which is almost the equivalent of Daily Graphic. There is Daily Guardian. And so when it came to the time to recite and give us, the Northerners turned around, the Christians in the north, and they said, don't give us this day, because that's the business publication. We don't want this day, because if we say that, then we're going to have problems. So unfortunately, this day was having a few problems in the north of Nigeria, because it's part of the Lord's Prayer. So very welcome to all the people from Nigeria, from Turkey, and that is the new frontier for foreign direct investment to come through. We move on very quickly now, and I believe I will be taking some special introductions very shortly. We have some other people here with us I'd like to quickly introduce. These are part of the sponsorship and the people that made today happen. We've got the convener that we've spoken about. We have the supporters, the partners, the platinum sponsor, and the media partner. I'm going to go through that very quickly, because without them, without the hard work that they did, we might not have been here today. Of course, we have the government of Ghana as ably represented. And then we have the Ministry of Trade and Finance, and I will be confirming that we do have representatives from there today. We have, of course, Dr. Bafo Osei we spoke about, and Business Day. You'll see that they have supported us. And then we move on to the partners, and we have the Ghana Investment Promotion Council. I believe Dr. Kama is well represented here, because as many of us know, the Managing Director or the CEO of GIPC was unable to be with us today. Private Enterprise Foundation is represented very well here by Nana Osei Bonsu, and I'd just like him to give us a little wave. Thank you very much for coming and for supporting us. And then we have the Platinum sponsor, and today we have in our midst, as Honorable Spiogabra did say, the resident rep, the res rep for the Ghana Country Office for the African Development Fund, and the bank as well, Marie-Laurie Aki-Olubade. And so I'd like us to give us a little wave. And we'll be continuing with the introductions very shortly, but we're just going to move on very quickly to the next item that we have on today's proceedings, and that would be the message from the Export Development and Agricultural Investment Fund. He's going to tell you more about what they do and how they can support us. Dr. Bafo Osei.
Minister of Finance, is my friend, and all other people observed. I must say I'm particularly happy to be here. This being the first major public event that I'm attending since joining Edaif. So on my own behalf and on the behalf of Export Development and Agricultural Investment Fund, Edaif, I want to thank the organizers for the opportunity to share a few words with you. Now, I can think of several reasons why this conference is important, but most significant relates to the economic outlook that we are talking about. Because when I look at all the available information and data on Ghana's economic outlook, what comes clear to me is that in spite of all the progress that we have made and are continuing to make, unless and until we attain strong, sustained, and shared growth, we're not going to be able to reduce the level of unemployment in the country, as well as reduce the level of poverty. And we also know that the kind of strong, sustained growth that we're talking about comes from innovations and technological spillovers, which are in turn related to profitable investment. So any sort of event which discusses how to attract investment to our country must be of particular importance and must be also opportune. So it is in that light that I see the importance of this conference. Now, the theme for the conference, as we've been told, is strategies for attracting foreign direct investment into the country. So what I'm going to do is very simply and very briefly give us some of the international best experiences, some of the international strategies that have been successful in attracting foreign direct investment to the host countries. And then I will situate the work we do at Edaif in that context to try to discuss the synergies between what we are doing and how it should be able to attract foreign direct investment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, several countries have applied workable strategies to attract foreign direct investment. And there is no reason why Ghana cannot do the same. Basically, we have met some of the basic conditions for attracting foreign direct investment. We have a very stable political and economic environment. We have some of the best investor-friendly policies we can think about. So the question is, why shouldn't we be able to attract as much investment as will enable us to push our growth rates high? So I want briefly to look at, as I said, some of the strategies that have been very, very successful in attracting investment. And then we will see how, given our satisfaction or the fact that we've satisfied some of these basic requirements, how we can also retune our strategies to be able to attract more of the direct investment that we seek. So let me mention a few of these success stories. If we take Hong Kong, for example, Hong Kong adapted a laissez-faire sort of strategy and allowed market forces to determine the flow of FDI. And Hong Kong was very successful in attracting FDI within that environment and giving that strategy, because Hong Kong had a very strong indigenous base of industrial skills with dynamic local enterprises and a strong infrastructure for financial and communication services. So that was the framework within which Hong Kong adapted the laissez-faire strategy. It worked for Hong Kong. Now, Singapore also adapted within a free trade setting a strategy which was with some interventions from the government. Now, Singapore sought FDI very, very aggressively, but in particular areas. In addition to that, Singapore invested heavily in human capital and infrastructure, also related to the particular areas in which it wanted foreign direct investment. Then we look at how Taiwan also did it. Taiwan also adopted a very, very interventionist approach. It combined the drive for FDI with trade policies that provided support for the deepening of local enterprises. Now, the government of Taiwan sought to maximize the benefits from FDI for local firms by promoting local sourcing and subcontracting. And in fact, the Taiwan experience happens to be one of the best known in terms of attracting FDI. Now, this success was achieved by setting local content rules, by insisting on foreign firms transferring skills and technology to subcontractors. Then we also have the experience of South Korea. And I'm just giving a brief sort of summary of these experiences. Now, South Korea's strategy was one of strong, selective strategy in attracting FDI. Now, FDI was permitted only when it was the way to obtaining technology or gaining access to world markets. And even then, the government encouraged local control by promoting majority Korean-owned or equal joint ventures. Now, I'm not going to talk about South Africa because I see there is a whole program devoted to South Africa on this. So, ladies and gentlemen, when I look at the four experiences that I've just briefly enumerated, I discern one major lesson from them. And that is that the attraction of FDI needs proactive strategies to target the right kind of investor and guide them into areas that constitute the host country's dynamic comparative advantage. Now, let me try and illustrate this briefly. Why would Ghana, for example, go to Malaysia and seek foreign direct investment from Malaysia of, say, electronic engineers, when you see in Malaysia that the smallest such company employs about 2,000 electronic engineers? Now, when you come home, and if we put together all the electronic engineers in the country, it will not even add up to the 2,000. So, this is the smallest company, and it's employing at least 2,000. And then we go there, and we lobby them, and we want them to come and set up in Ghana. Of course, they are not coming, because they know that the basic human requirements, the basic skills that they need, will not be there. So, if you look at the experiences of all the four countries that I enumerated, there was proactive strategies to target the investor that we wanted and also give the right kind of incentive for these people to come. Now, the question I ask myself is, given these experiences, and at Edaif, the work we're doing, how does the work we are doing at Edaif enable us to get some of these foreign direct investors to come into the country? Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'll just highlight a few of the areas that we are involved in at Edaif and try to link that to how this would attract foreign direct investors into our country. Now, let me mention first and foremost that Edaif is a strategic fund for national development. A strategic fund for national development. And the government of Ghana is using this strategic fund to target investments in activities that can have rapid and catalytic impact on employment and economic growth. In terms of the outlook that I talked about, we are well positioned to use the strategic funds of Edaif to generate employment and to help achieve the kind of strong, sustained, and shared growth that will push our country forward. Now, in terms of some of the areas that we are involved in, as some of you might know, the government has launched a stimulus package initiative. And Edaif is funding a number of activities within this stimulus package. We are providing support for companies in the pharmaceutical, the textile and garment, poultry, as well as the wood industry. And this is intended to enhance the competitiveness of these industries so that they can increase local production and thereby reduce imports. Now, the fact is, if we are able, as we hope we will, if we are able to enhance the capacities and the capabilities of these companies can serve as partners to the foreign direct investors that we want to attract into the country. Now, they can complement these foreign direct investors by being suppliers to them, and they can also absorb the beneficial spillovers from their operations as competitors. Now, outside these companies that I've mentioned, Edaif is also engaged in financing on a continuous basis a number of irrigation projects. Now, these also represent an area where we believe there can be partnership with foreign investors to help the nation move forward. Now, within the same stimulus package, Edaif is about to support a small-scale district rural industrialization initiative. We are going to support and expand the support we have already been giving to local handicraft industries by building handicraft villages. And again, these are areas where partners can be welcomed and join with us in achieving our objectives. Now, along the same lines, we are supporting a smallholder farmers initiative. And this is something which has been going on for some time. We have major projects and investments in shea nuts, cashew, maize, soya beans, sorghum, granules, and mangoes. So again, these are areas that partners can come and linked with the irrigation activities for us to work together in achieving the objectives of the Ghana government. Now, one area which is taking off is Edaif support for the perishable cargo center at the International Airport. This is being done to ensure we can have storage for perishable products like fruits and vegetables. And we're going to do the same facilities in Kumasi and Tamale. And again, there are opportunities that our foreign partners can join in to support the program that we are undertaking. Honorable Speaker Gabriel was talking about SMEs. Now, I'm sure most of us know that recently the Parliament of Ghana passed a new Edaif law. Now, this law empowers Edaif to do more for SMEs. Now, through our own initiative, we have identified that the SME sector in Ghana lacks the knowledge, the time, and the resources to identify their own technological needs and articulate them to government. So we believe there is need for more aggressive measures to help these SMEs to understand their own problems and how to find solutions to them. So in partnership with the NBSSI, the National Board for Small Scale Industries, we are going to support activities that will empower these SMEs with information on international standards and quality, and finance training, consultancy, and demonstration services that will enhance their productivity. One new area that Edaif is going to be involved in is equity finance. And this is something that I know Minister of Trade and Industries fought very strongly for. Now, Edaif is now empowered to offer equity to our SMEs. Now, we believe that by holding equity in any private or public enterprise without assuming any managerial function, Edaif will be empowering these enterprises to bring in other investors with capital, skills, and know-how. So with our equity, we expect our foreign partners to join hands in making the SME sector as vibrant as it should be in the development of our country. Now, when I started, I said in terms of the outlook that we need to generate adequate growth of employment. Now, if you look at the activities that I've enumerated that Edaif is involved in, you realize that employment generation is a key component of all the activities that we are undertaking. But specific to youth employment, again, as you know, the President of our Republic has an initiative to establish an entrepreneurship youth fund. And the fund will, among others, identify and support young graduates to develop their own businesses that will take advantage of the abundant raw material base that we have in the country. And Edaif